Come on up, Nicole. What hasn't she done, right? She's amazing, and I'm so excited for your talk. I'm gonna grab more people from the back, make sure they're in.
All right, excellent. All right, well, thank you for having me here today. It's so exciting to be here at Long Beach and AWE. I have lost track of how many AWEs I've been to. Just like I've lost track of exactly how many iOS, Vision Pro, iPadOS dev camps I've been to as well that these fine folks have put on. So as we filter in, I'm Nicole Lazzaro. For those of you who I haven't met, I am the founder of two companies, Zio Design, which is our consulting company, and then Zio Play, which is what we use to create original games for iOS and now, of course, Vision Pro. And I'm known for a number of things. I pioneered the use of emotion in game mechanics, and among other things, I've also designed the first iPhone game. So here's the emotion model, the 4 keys to fun, and it is used by millions of developers around the world. Including all of these logos over here. Many of those are our clients. And I've worked on games such as Myst and The Sims and in Star Wars. And then, I don't know, Wednesday this happened, so we'll see. Complete surprise. So what we're doing right now is I'm working heavily on this game, Follow the White Rabbit Tales for Vision Pro, which is why I was invited to speak here tonight. And for context, I want to set up context. Here's a quick look at episode 1. This is the soft launch on Vision Pro. So this is a quick video. Thank you. So that's in soft launch, as I said, in the US, because that's the only place Vision Pros are available. And from that context, I'm going to start my talk, which hopefully is like this. There we go. So this is a story about I'm going to start with how we got started. I'm going to share some of our experiences, and then there will be a lot of URLs for how many people have already developed for Apple in the Apple ecosystem. How many are already in the Apple ecosystem? Okay, all right, great. And so there'll be a lot of resources for folks, and I will summarize. There'll be a final slide with all the URLs, although we'll have URLs along the way. So how did we get started? Well, it was with these folks up here in the front. This was at iPhone Dev Camp. This was 2007. The iPhone had just come out. And I did the first step in my 4-step process working with Apple, which is I got excited, super excited about the technology. I love the iPhone. I love how it made people feel. I loved interacting with it. You know, so we made this game, Joe Hewitt, Colin Tooney, and I, called Tilt. And that eventually became, that won Best of Show, Best Game, and then eventually became an actual game on the App Store. This is me prototyping here on the left. With paper, and then me showing, I think that's Robert Scoble laughing with his kid. So very, very fun. And we went on to launch on the App Store. It wasn't until the iPad we launched on 2011, and we were featured twice, and won a bunch of rewards and planted a bunch of trees. We were really happy with the global acceptance of the app. So here's sort of the overview slide of what we're doing, or what our approach is. My personal experience, there are many paths working in the world. This is just what we've found effective. So it may be that it may be different for you. But the first thing we did is we fell in love with the Apple technology. So in the case of Tilt World, which was the first iPhone game, arguably, we loved the iPhone. We did native development, and then we did, for Follow the White Rabbit, we really fell in love with the Vision Pro. And we're developing it in Unity now for this thing. The second thing is we wanted to build an experience around something that only Apple could deliver. So each year, Apple releases new technology. There is new things that they want to feature and highlight. We focused on attracting new audiences to our games. So we basically, of everything that came out that year, what were 1 or 2 things that we could really drill down on? What were 1 or 2 things that we could put at the center of the game? There are plenty of games in the case of Tilt World where you can tap on the screen and do stuff, but you could click on a mouse. That was too easy for us. So for us, it was measuring, I don't know, maybe how many people's the story, but basically we measured the width of the iPhone. So in order to get the rotation, so you could do portrait or landscape. You had green blocks falling one way, blue blocks falling the other way. So we had a JavaScript game, and that got us onto the Apple iPhone before there was even an App Store. On Vision Pro's side, it's the gaze and pinch. I really love that gesture. The resolution of the displays is something I'm really in love with. So we're taking advantage of that in the next version. And the idea of just that seamless interaction is core to that game mechanic. It isn't just added on. It's just not an added feature, but it's really core to the experience. And then the third thing is really polishing and polishing and polishing. With Tilt World, I put up 6 months, but it might even be double that. I'm not really sure anymore. A bit of a blur. And then we had to refactor several times because of rule changes in the app submission process and the Apple Store guidelines, the human interface to guidelines. So, so you want to be sure that you have time for that. It's common in games anyway, which is where we've worked a lot on original IP, that you say like that last 10% is 90% of the work. And that 10% is the polish. So be sure you give enough self-time for that. And then we launched globally. On Tilt World, we actually launched, we localized into all of the different app stores. So the game itself didn't have a lot of text. We didn't even localize the app. We just localized the app stores, and that was that really helped us a lot get more distribution. We were #1 app in China, and we also had a number of we did really well in other markets because a lot of people focus on the US and in English. Of course, if you can localize your entire experience, that's great. And then we've soft launched the US. Follow the White Rabbit, our soft launch was available about a week after hardware. And what we did there was we soft launched to our LinkedIn network because it's only available in the US. We can't send it to the Philippines or any other jurisdiction. In about 2 to 4 weeks, you'll be able to do that. So just launch in one country, a smaller market, and test and iterate, and then launch globally, for everyone. So that's sort of an overview of what, kind of my strategy. So the first thing you would do, if you haven't already, how many people have an Apple developer account? Okay, yeah, all right, yeah. So this is where you go. There are 3 flavors. There's the individual and the organization. There are also enterprise accounts. So for larger organizations, there are special permissions, special paperwork you need to process, and then there are special features that are available only to enterprise types of developers. So depending on where you are in the Apple, in the ecosystem at large, that might be the better choice for you. There is Apple Arcade, which is a different flavor of the App Store. It's Apple's subscription service. It has a very different business model. It has some different rules. The basics of app submission, the human interface guidelines, those all apply. But there will be a different kind of relationship with Apple. There will be different developer relations managers and that kind of thing. If that seems to be a good fit for your app, that might be something that you want to do. There's also WebXR, which is another way to experience. I know that was being mentioned earlier today, and it's on by default, that of WWDC. So it's on by default for Safari. So that's great. I really believe in open ecosystems. And obviously, Tilt World was a JavaScript game, so we got on the iPhone because we were a web game. The App Store review guidelines are, they are an important part of them. They update of the approval process, and they update regularly. The human interface guidelines, which was mentioned earlier today, is also important because they describe the interaction, and they're a quite common way to get submission failures. So you may get a ticket or two based on not conforming to the HIG, the Human Interface Guidelines. There's a special new one called Immersive Experiences, and you can see here they're updated as of June 10th. There are new regulations on what Apple expects out of immersive experiences. And as this is a very new, spatial computing is very, very new, expect those to update on a fairly regular cadence. And then there is something called on your development machine, if you're developing on Mac, which you should be, you pretty much have to be for Vision Pro, Feedback Assistant. How many of you have actually filed a Feedback Assistant ticket? Okay, so if you are a developer, chances are you've hit something that you feel really needs to change, that would really make your life better. Hit that Feedback Assistant button and go in. You may not get a response. But I know, from personal experience, like a lot of stuff that we were talking about, a lot of tickets I submitted did make it all the way through to visionOS 2. So a lot of things that developers wanted, that's really one of the best ways for Apple to hear from you hear from all of us, is through that Feedback Assistant. They've also updated their forums, so at WWDC. So their forum technology is new. The whole system is new. It's a new interface and stuff like that. And it promises to be a much better interaction with Apple. So there will be much more, well, anyway, let me just say, trying to think what I can say. So it's redesigned, and it's another really great place to file your feedback. And so that's good. And then there is TestFlight. So a couple ways of distributing your app once you've got it running. One is TestFlight. So that's the recommended path. You submit a build to TestFlight. It needs to get approved, and then once it's approved, then it can distribute out to all the emails that you list, for distribution for that particular build. Then people can get it onto their device, and then they can try it. The numbers have gone way up since we started with the iPad. So there used to only be like 100. You could only get 100 devices per account. It was just insane to try and test a game. Now you can see that we can get 10,000 external, developers. So then testers. So that way you could actually take, okay, here's a tranche of 60 people. Let's test our app, and let's get another group of 60. So you can go out with that. You invite with their email or an external link. And then developers, you can also install directly. If you're physically located close, you can actually physically, install from Xcode right onto the device, or create an ad hoc build that's distributed to other Apple platform members. And then I wanted to leave a couple minutes for questions. So I also wanted to talk briefly about creating your product page. And I'm doing this because just out of the thing that's caused me the most headache is doing this. Not from their part, but just from our part. Because just don't be like me and wait for the day before you submit, and then go, okay, I need an icon. I need an icon in X number of sizes. I need video. I need blah, 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 blah. So you've got to, it's easy to underestimate what the amount of decisions that need to be made to assembling your App Store page. You have to choose your keywords, okay? There's roughly 100 characters, I believe, for your keywords. You have to get your in-app, your video, your app preview. That all has to be done, has to be shot on device. You can add material to it, but it has to be shot on device. And then your screenshots have to tell the narrative of what your story is. You have to choose your App Store categories and, of course, your marketing text. And then you can have some temporary text in there as well. So that's all good. The other lesson I learned was something called server propagation. Not that I didn't know that term prior to, but you have your option of once you hit the submit button for review, you can either choose like go out automatically, or choose a manual release date, or just manual, right? And I'd forgotten about those two words earlier, and I mentioned earlier, and so it can take like 8 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours to actually propagate to all the servers. So I had, so having press releases with that URL directly in it meant that it would go nowhere. It would bounce back until it was actually live. So even thinking about that, so URLs in press releases probably should go to a holding URL that you own, and then you can just say coming soon, and then go out. I didn't have that forethought at 1 a.m. in the morning whenever I was working on it, and then. Okay, yeah, and then the other thing I think is really, really interesting is like be sure to check back with the, again in advance, not the day before, not even the week before, do it several weeks before. What are some of the other options? So you do have options for page optimization now. So you can do A/B testing, so you can test 2 versions or more of your product page. You can release to a small market like the Philippines and then do some A/B testing. You can try different pricing models, and those can be live in the store at the same time, and you can send one group to this and one group to this App Store page and another group to that App Store page. You can even have special purpose App Store pages now that feature a specific character or a specific event, and those can come and go. So there's a lot more flexibility than there used to be. On the App Store. And then the other thing, which I really wish I'd known earlier, was the pre-order store page. So you can actually, and again, doing it in advance is a great idea, you can actually put up now a App Store page and then actually be able to, before your product's launched, and people can actually buy it before release. And so that's an interesting way to look for signal or look for how much interest there might be in your game or experience. And yeah, so I think that's good. So Annual has has several events, other ways in which they talk to and interact with the development community. Feedback Assistant, the forums. There are some technical service tickets. I forget what the name exactly is. But also there are these events. WWDC just happened last week. So a week ago, a lot of us were on site at Apple for the big announcements, which was super fun. And they also have, though, a lot of everything available online. All of the videos from the event are already, available online if you have an Apple developer account, and so you can watch them. And there are also in-person events, or also online events that happen as far. So if you are, so during WWDC, you can actually have one-on-one labs with an Apple engineer. So you've got, you're trying to, implement hand tracking better. So you say, okay, this is my issue. I'm going to apply to the hand tracking lab or the special input lab, whatever it's called. And then you might be selected to get one-on-one. So you'll get an hour, 20 minutes to an hour call with an engineer to help debug your thing. Or you might get design guideline feedback, or you can meet with the marketing folks. And this is one-on-one about your app, which is really, really great. They have a special URL, which I think I'll here. It's under events, and then they have those are refreshed on a fairly regular basis. So you might want to check back. They're nice. They're really nice things. Apple also did a really interesting community rollout. So during WWDC, they actually had a list of events around the world, watch parties and that kind of thing. That was all on this events page. And often after a big special event where they're announcing a new tech, there will also be a bunch of labs that you can sign up for after that announcement if you want to dive deeper. And they periodically have like how to get better, how to use in-app purchases better, or how to market better, throughout the course of the year. But the one-on-one, they have one-on-one labs in that mix, and that can include even a one-on-one design review of your app, or again, kind of code level support. The one I'm most fond of as we wrap up is Entrepreneur Camp, and that's sort of Apple walking the talk. I'm a member of cohort 6, and we were the first pandemic cohort, but basically it's a program that Apple does for founders of companies that have that are co-founded, or one of the founders is female, identifies female, Black, Hispanic, Latinx, or indigenous, and they have with an app-driven business. Okay, and it also requires an existing app in the store, a TestFlight beta, or some kind of app in a similar state. Doesn't have to be, but it's an app. And they the program is amazing. They gave us, code level review. We could talk about all kinds of different Apple frameworks. They taught us how to do a demo. They taught us a lot about marketing, and so lots of different things. Sarah Hill, who spoke earlier from Helium, she was actually cohort 2, I think. So there have been a lot of amazing, and Jenny Zhu, who, anyway, she was just one of the recent cohorts, and then she's gone off with her game, Run Legends, on mobile, and done amazing things. So I highly recommend folks who are interested, spread the word about it, even if you don't qualify, but I think it'd be fun. So here's the wrap-up slide. These are sort of the how to start here. These are all the URLs that I shared. I'm going everything from creating a developer account, creating an amazing app. That was sort of the step 2. Didn't cover that too much. But you want to see, is it App Store, is it Arcade, am I Enterprise, am I internal distribution, am I external distribution? And then the App Store review guidelines, TestFlight, and then some of those additional URLs with the App Store pages. So so that's it. Shameless plug. We've got a panel on Wednesday in room 101A. This is on designing for the future of XR. So what do we need to do for creating the future of XR? With my co-panelists, Josette and Finn. So thank you very much for all your attention. Thank you. And then these are the QR codes for signing up our email, and then for downloading the game on the App Store. Great, thank you very much.